Good evening, one and all. It's Michael.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jonathan.
Jonathan. In case you're just now, this is the first video that you've seen. That's who we are. We are Bro JMR, and this is our 3 cents, as you could tell from the little thumbnail and title and stuff. And we're getting back to something we haven't done in quite a while, and that's working on our Pee Wee Herman quadrilogy, quintrilogy, sextrilogy, septrilogy.
I don't know how many there are.
However many there are, but anyway, this is the next part in it. And this is Pee Wee's Playhouse
Christmas Special.
The Christmas Special. And if I recall correctly, this first aired in 1988, I think December 15th, 1988. So after 700 minutes of research, it was December 21st,
okay.
1988. And it was the Christmas special. It came on, I don't remember if this was a primetime special or if it was it happened in the morning when it normally would come on in the morning. I don't remember.
Well, it was longer, so
yeah,
49 minutes. So
it was essentially the length of 2 episodes. I don't remember seeing it originally. I didn't see it until it came out on DVD.
And I didn't see it until an hour ago.
Yes, this was Jonathan's first time viewing it.
Yes.
And what did you think, being it's the first time you've ever viewed it? I know you didn't watch the show originally. You've seen a few random episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have. I got this, like we've discussed. I don't have a lot of memories of the show. The only memories I really have of Pee Wee are the 2 movies, Big Adventure, which I don't remember as much, and Big Top Pee Wee, which I actually do remember seeing. And then, his infamous crack cocaine commercial, which is just a masterpiece in the history of television. But I liked it. It was a little bit different. He was kind of an ass in it. I gotta say. Yeah. He was kind of an ass to everybody.
Pee Wee, of course, is a man-child, and he was very childish and very selfish and very much a jerk who did not deserve the redemption that he got. He did not deserve the ultimate Christmas gift that he got, because he was bad. He was a bad boy. He was a bad little boy.
Yeah.
But he turned it around and became unselfish and blah blah blah. But up until those last few minutes, yeah, he was kind of a dick.
Yeah, he really was. But this was, this really seemed to rest on the guest stars. It seemed like everything was just, the rest of the story was just filler. And the guest stars were just completely random. And
totally. As I'm watching it now, almost 30 years later.
Yeah.
I don't think someone now could watch this and appreciate it, especially because the guest stars that they had were real pop icons, not pop like music pop, but pop culture icons at the time, and it would just kind of blow over. Like, even at this point, there's people in here that I have no idea who they are. Yeah, like I don't know who that chick is.
Grace Jones?
Grace Jones, yeah, I have no idea who that is. So,
a singer. She was a singer that was very popular. And a lot of them were popular at the time. They're not necessarily. I don't want to say that they're not relevant anymore, because I don't want to say that about. That's not a phrase that I would like to say about anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not in the
Public eye.
They're not in the public eye as much anymore. They're not in the pop culture mainstream, or some of them I don't think are alive anymore. Actually, don't know if Grace Jones is alive anymore.
Yeah, several of these passed away.
Yeah, but I mean, Whoopi Goldberg is still relevant, but and she was the one that didn't really get much of a guest spot. She got a guest spot as a phone call, trying to get a guest spot on his Christmas special, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't fit you in." And that was like, no, that was the time I was like, that's kind of a dick move, Pee Wee.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yeah, I can't fill you in for the next 2 years." I'm like, you no problem with Whoopi Goldberg?
And like some of the biggest name stars, they didn't even have live. They had them via what a 1988 Skype call is.
Yeah, pretty much.
But speaking of guest stars, let's go over them. Frankie Avalon, Charo, the Del Rubo triplets, Annette Funicello. Almost went Full House and said Annette Funicello. Zsa Zsa Gabor, Whoopi Goldberg, Magic Johnson, Grace Jones, Katie Lang, Little Richard, Joan Rivers, Dinah Shore, and Oprah Winfrey is the guest stars. And they were all had their own little moments. The one with Little Richard was funny.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
Charo was a good one.
Little Richard's just a character altogether.
The Charo guest spot I really liked. She sang Feliz Navidad, and that was a neat one. I gotta say my favorite was Cher, though.
Oh yeah, they don't even mention Cher. Yes. They don't even mention on this list.
Yeah.
She just kind of randomly shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was looking on IMDb, and it said that the reason why her guest spot was so short, they filmed that in like 25 minutes. Because she was in the middle of a tour, and she had very, very little time. But she just was basically just a swing through. She was in town, and she just came on, did a little bit, and left. And that's why it was so short. But I like Cher, and
and she kept her pants on, which is good.
Yeah, but I had kind of forgotten, because it's been a while since I've seen anything of hers that was older. She was a really beautiful woman. Like, wow, really beautiful woman, and she still is, but she really had a lot of plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
No.
Yeah. My favoriteest part was Miss Renee when she came in, and we're talking about Hanukkah.
Oh yeah.
And she brought 8 fruitcakes because they exchanged gifts for 8 nights. And right before they start singing the dreidel song, she turns to the camera and breaks the fourth wall, totally breaks the fourth wall, and says, "This is the Hanukkah portion of the special." It made me laugh.
That was very funny. They did a couple of things like that, like Pee Wee talking about how the snow was fake.
Yeah.
When he goes out to make a snow angel, and he says, "You kids, you can do this too. All you need is 20 pounds of coconut shavings." That I found that to be really funny. But the one that kind of confused me a little bit, the part that kind of confused me a little bit was the section in the beginning with Miss Yvonne. Is she a whore?
I don't know. I don't know if she's very loose with her morals. Maybe not whore, but is she a lady of the evening? Because she might be.
Man, even Pee Wee had to acknowledge it. He's like, if you're going to be busy making out with everybody in the Playhouse, actually says that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
What?
What's happening here?
Because she got a new hairdo and she got a fancy Christmas dress, which was really interesting the way that they put it all together.
Yeah.
But she has the the Marge Simpson beehive hairdo going on, as she usually does, and she's got mistletoe all wrapped around it, so she can like make out with everybody. She wants kisses from everybody.
Yes. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm watching on, and it's just getting worse. And it's really short. It's only like probably 3 or 4 minute segment, but it just builds and gets worse. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, is she about to start humping Cherry? Because that would be
weird
and awkward. Oh man.
Whew, okay. Magic Johnson. That was a nice little thing. He was in the magic screen because they're cousins.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really funny.
One thing I can say about this one is you could tell that the budget, they had a little bit more budget of a budget than they usually do. I mean, by this time, the show had a pretty decent budget anyway, but they ramped it up a little bit because it's a Christmas special. And it was, you could just tell that it was just a little bit different. Now, I'd always seen it on the DVD, but we actually watched the Blu-ray version of it. And so it was already a lot sharper and cleaner. So that may be part of it.
But yeah, the Playhouse were great.
Yes. And they did a lot of stuff outdoors as well. So, I mean, they actually traveled outside of the Playhouse, which they never did.
Yep. Oh my God, the kitchen that he had. Oh, it was glorious.
That's right, because you hadn't really seen the show. So.
Yeah. Except for the fruit being alive in his fridge. That was a little awkward. But I liked how they were drinking eggnog out of eggs. That amused me. That made me laugh a little bit.
Well, one thing was always great about the show, and we're not going to like review like the show itself in general. So I mean, anything we're going to say about the show itself will be about in here. It was really, really. It was a fantastic show. If you never watched it, there was a great mix of practical effects, puppetry, marionettes, which I know you hated, but the claymation, stop motion claymation,
the penny cartoons.
The penny cartoons. I mean, there's a lot.
That was something that I remembered when that came on. I was like, I remember these because they actually made an. Going back to this, but they made an anti-drug cartoon that was a penny cartoon.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the penny cartoons. So
a lot stop motion. The cartoon, the King of Cartoons, always seems to play. I'm gonna have to look this up to make sure for sure, and I'll post something like right here. It would seem to it was almost Max Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah.
I want to say that it was because they all had the exact same look.
Because as soon as it came on for this one, I knew immediately what it was. I recognized it immediately. I looked it up to double check, which I didn't really need to because I am a really big fan of Max Fleischer cartoons. He is a legend in animation, and I recognize that specific cartoon. It's called Christmas Comes Only Once a Year. And it's about a grandpa it's about an older man who's Grampy. That's his character. He was in a lot of Fleischer cartoons, and he works in an orphanage, and he decides to make Christmas in the orphanage out of stuff that he had, and he dressed up as Santa. Adorable cartoon, very wholesome. But yeah, that was nice to see. That was nice to see for me because I love Fleischer cartoons so much. So.
And of course, they had to, they touched on, which something they couldn't really do now, but they touched on a lot on the religious aspects of Christmas. Randy shuts all the power off at the pivotal moment when the Christmas tree lights up for the first time, and they're all, because he said, what does he say? Christmas, it's just a
He said something that sounds like something you would say.
It is something that I would say. That's why I loved it so much. It was something along the lines of it's just a corporate holiday meant to cash in on people's sentimental values to buy presents to give to people. Blah
Run
blah
by
blah.
big business was a word thrown in there somewhere. It was very much a stereotypical anti-Christmas rant.
Awesome.
Which, in a lot of ways, we hear that now and we're like, well, yeah, kind of agree with it. But the time that this aired in 1988, it's not how the majority of society felt.
Mm-hmm. They weren't jaded yet. They hadn't got to that point where they were completely jaded because, if you think about it, it was the 80s, the age of excess.
Yeah.
The decade of excess.
Yeah.
So
everybody worked for big business.
Mm-hmm. So they weren't going to be talking about it like that.
Yeah.
And, they did talk about, the true meaning of Christmas and everything.
They actually did tell the nativity story, even though, very, very short, very brief version.
Right. But then, of course, you had Santa Claus. So it really hit everything that is Christmas.
Uh-huh. The only thing that I can think of that they didn't mention is, like, Kwanzaa.
Right. Which wasn't, like...
Nobody knew about that in the 80s.
That wasn't... Well, I won't say they didn't know about it, but it wasn't that big. I don't want to say big, but...
known.
It wasn't that known. It wasn't that much talked about.
Yeah.
And so...
But it was nice that they kind of covered all the bases.
Yes.
With it in a lot of ways.
All the mainstream bases that it was at the time. So
yeah, and they did it all with respect.
Mm-hmm. So I know this is almost June by the time I actually get this out onto the internet webs, but when December comes around in 6 months, if you want a fun little flashback, look up and find Pee Wee's Playhouse Christmas Special, the 80s, when Christmas specials were actually a real thing. It was actually something that was an event.
Mm-hmm.
And so check it out if you're a Pee Wee fan, or if you're a fan of Christmas, or if you're a fan of nostalgia. We gives it two candy canes up. I can't make a candy cane with my hand, but yeah.
I'm just gonna give it 2 thumbs up.
Okay. And
it is very good. It still has that sense of kind of kid-like wonderment, but
as with all Pee Wee, you see the adult humor in it.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is definitely a running theme for every one of these reviews that we've done. Makes me kind of want to watch the show, so I may start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I may start watching the show. I may do that tonight, and go through some of it to see.
Wait till you find the episode with the giant monster eyeball. That's awesome.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us. Again, it's probably ran too long. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Up next will be Broadway.
Yes, we're going to fast forward 28 years.
No. 23. It was 2011.
Okay.
The Broadway one.
We're going to fast forward 23 years to the Broadway special that was on HBO, and we can actually watch that since we have HBO Go.
Yep.
And check back with us in a few weeks. Hopefully we'll have it up and running, up and ready to go for you. So thanks for watching. Blessed be, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. Ah! Because year was the secret word.
Oh yeah. Bye.